Dial this number 911.
It's just
Grayson.
that'll do it.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Jacob.
Hi guys. Greetings all.
We'll be back after the break.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Things You Can't Touch, a philosophy podcast where we touch on the deeper things of life. And today, the guest that I have beside me, a babe named Jessica. Jessica, say hi to the people then.
Hiya.
That's great. You can in fact introduce yourself and let them know your Instagram handles and things of that nature.
My name is Jessica. My Instagram is JessChooks. And I'm 19 and I go to Cambridge.
Wow, that's lovely. You're also a creative, aren't you?
Yeah.
You want to tell them a little bit about that?
So, I really do enjoy writing poetry. I've actually written my own poetry book on Amazon called Hope Hughes. And I've actually started my own poetry club in Cambridge called Black Girls Blues, where I teach poetic techniques.
That's really beautiful. Guys, make sure to check out her book. I'm going to link everything in the description. Support her page and follow her Instagram. But today, obviously, Jessica, you're here to talk about philosophy. Because this is, in fact, a philosophy podcast. And you don't know what question I'm going to ask you.
I don't. I'm looking forward to it.
Are you? I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the question, Jessica?
Let's get into it.
Your question is...
Hopefully it's a nice one.
And I thought this suited you very much.
Oh, damn.
Jessica, what is nothing, if anything at all?
Wow.
You can take it from any angle.
What is nothing, if anything at all?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's an abstract one. I'm gonna need a second for that one.
Take your time.
What is nothing, if anything at all?
Should I? What's the word?
Like, give me put a bit more meat to it. Like, cool. What are we?
Because basically, what I want to touch on
Yeah.
is the paradox of nothingness, which is that if nothing is nothing, it has to be something.
Right.
And if nothing is something, then nothing doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So the paradox basically concludes that nothing doesn't exist.
There's always something.
Yeah.
Fair. This is definitely it's an a priori argument, right?
Oh my god.
It's about
It is, yes, a priori.
Yeah.
I love that. The people them are gonna get some philosophical knowledge today.
So, wow. Okay. I think
The mic is here.
Sorry.
I'm
I
so
think
sorry.
before okay, this is a very vague question.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way I would approach it is by first, I think separating it into two categories.
Yes.
So I guess on one level we can talk about logic,
Mm-hmm.
and then on another level we can talk about, let's say, symbolism and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay, cool. What is nothing, if anything,
At all.
at all? What does the at all bit mean? Does that mean anything? Was that just like part of the question?
When I composed the question,
Yeah.
I felt like asking what is nothing. I felt like asking what is nothing in its solidarity wasn't enough.
Okay.
I had to, add some meat to the bone.
Yeah.
So when I said if anything at all, that like alludes to the paradox of nothingness. But like, what is nothing if anything? I just felt like it was incomplete.
No, fairs. Okay. On a logical level, like looking at the argument, the question, I think, cool, let's break it down. The words.
Mm-hmm.
What is nothing? What is nothing? When I think of nothing, I think of the lack of something.
Wow. Nothing is the absence of something.
Yeah, I'll say the lack of it.
So the lack. So nothing
Yeah.
is not the absence, but is the lack. What's the difference
Yeah.
between absence and lack for you?
I feel like with lack, there's still potential for something. There's just lacking it currently, whereas like the absence of it is like in my head it's more of a it's more than temporary. Absence of something, it just seems a bit longer
there.
to me. Yeah, just like in terms of wording.
So nothingness and somethingness has a temporal element.
Yeah, I think even the view of what it means for something to be something and something to be nothing is a thing of perception.
Don't you think that sentence was
A
contradictory?
paradox in it, pardon?
Contradictory in itself.
Yeah, no, it definitely was.
Okay, cool.
It definitely was. But I feel like to engage with this question, you sort of have to accept that there will be that juxtaposition.
Wow.
So I think now that like if we can accept that, then we can like navigate this question in a more like flexible way.
Okay.
So we're just gonna accept. Not say wow. There.
We're just gonna accept the.
It was on the tip of your tongue.
We're just gonna accept the paradox and leave it like that, but just try and explore the question within the paradox.
Yeah. So cool. I think that it's all about. Well, you could say anything is about perception, but in this topic specifically, my view of nothing. What I think nothing is even about what matters if we're applying it to actual life. For example, Black Lives Matter, that movement. Whether that is something of value to someone and not to someone else is a thing of perception. And based on our perception, that's the tool that we use to like put value on things. And then what we put value on, that now manifests as something or nothing.
Okay.
Because what I don't value is essentially nothing to me. So like, for example, I can't even think of it because
I get what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
But what I put value on, it means something to me. And whether something is something or nothing is based on the individual. I don't think it's from a sort of interpretive point of view. Yeah, it's based on like subjective interpretation. But again, if we're taking sort of like naturalistic point of view. Naturalism.
I think that's what you want to say,
yeah. They believe that they're sort of like objective truths and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, when we dive into that, then they would look at something and nothing, that debate, in a sort of binary way. Yeah. But I wouldn't take that approach just because I don't think it's flexible.
So nothingness and somethingness, it's not either or. It's a spectrum.
Yeah. I would say it's even reflexive. So that means like something that can be something to me one day, can be nothing to me the next. So it's like it can change its mode and change its shape. Yeah. And I think it's in a sort of relationship with each other. For example, like someone could value the opinion of their peers when they're young. That's like how you view me as something. Whereas when I'm older, I could grow out of that and see like whatever you view of me is nothing. Yeah. And then I could change again when I'm older. And do you know what I mean? It's sort of that sort of, it's like a river, you know? That's
beautiful. I like the analogy. I've had a lot of good analogies on here so far, and you just added to them. Great. But something that you said, I wanted to say something about it. You said, you were talking about opinions. Yeah. And whether it means something to you or whether it doesn't mean anything to you. So in terms of that type of nothingness, because I didn't actually clarify the type of nothingness that I was talking about. So that means like it's open to talk about any type of nothingness. But for you, is there ever... I want to ask this question later, so there's no point of asking it now. Because I want us to talk about absolute nothingness. Okay. So in terms of absolute nothingness, your answer doesn't suffice. But it suffices in terms of the definition that you gave it, which is nothingness in terms of subjectivity, nothingness in terms of opinions, and nothingness on the spectrum that you've drawn.
Yeah, I think even in terms of absolute nothingness, I think... because I don't view things in a binary way, I couldn't even put anything in that category. Because again, it follows the same... Wait, let me start again. Cool. I don't think... Okay.
Take your time.
I don't think I could put anything in that category of absolute nothingness because my argument or my point of view follows the same framework. Like, what could be absolute nothingness to me today could be something I value very highly tomorrow. So I would never want to, like, box myself in. Yeah. And, like, my values change frequently and, like, how I perceive the world, I think, for the better. So what I view as absolute nothingness today again, I could value it tomorrow.
And you've taken the route of opinions, and I find that really interesting because that never actually crossed my mind. I never thought about that. Because I think we're very two like different people. Because I say it all the time, I hate subjectivity.
Right.
I hate the notion of there being more than one option. It should either be one answer or it should be binary, either or.
Right.
But yeah, I find it interesting that you took that route. So for me, I was completely focused on absolute nothingness. I just find it interesting that, yeah, you took it from that point of view. But when you say that one day you can think of something in terms of absolute nothingness, my question is more so about, does that absolute nothingness even exist in the first place?
Because my view is based on perception, the only requirement for something's existence is my autonomy within that. So, like, whether I choose to believe in something or not, that then is, like, the prerequisite of, like, what existence means to me. Because, for example, if
so
I
the
view
definition of existence.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
the discussion about like whether absolute nothingness exists, I would say is again like based on someone's perception.
So everything is just an opinion as whether nothingness exists.
I wouldn't say everything is I wouldn't say.
But the answer to my question is an opinion. Or the answer to my question is based on how the person feels about whatever is in question.
Yeah, like I don't think people view their beliefs as just opinions. I think that's a bit reductionist to say. Like, I'm not saying just opinions. But what I'm saying is everything is subjective.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say subjectivity is synonymous with opinions.
But it is.
I don't think it is.
So we're going to argue because I genuinely believe that subjectivity is just people putting their own views forward, which is why I just hate it so much, because I feel like subjectivity just leads to a slippery slope in a sense that anyone can put forth any idea that they want just because they said so and just because that's their opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I hear what you're saying. I just don't think that's an accurate approach. I think the creativity that's within the field of having the opportunity to constantly evolve and share new different views, I think that's actually beneficial for progress. And I think it's how I think humans can best thrive.
I hear that. And you're right. Subjectivity is always going to exist in this world. But I tend to think of things on imagine this is the world, overarching basis. I'm very naturalist in my ideology.
Right.
Well, I don't even before I move on to the next point.
Sure. So, yeah, I take a very postmodern point of view.
Are you saying I'm not modern? Are you saying I'm old-fashioned?
No, postmodern is it's an ideology that essentially
postmodernism.
Yeah, it's all about how everything's subjective.
Yeah, and I hate it.
Right. No, it doesn't mean you're not modern. It probably just means you're not postmodern.
Okay.
Right. There is a theory of modernity. Yeah,
actually. You got
me. But yeah, so I really like that theory a lot, and I like everything
I hate it. Jessica! I'm so sorry, because I was doing postmodernism in one of my modules called Knowledge, Ignorance, and BS. And I really hated it.
Fair.
I don't know what it was, but it just is it spoke about BS, and it spoke about how subjectivity is ruling the world. It spoke about how truth is falling out of the world. Because you know George Orwell, how he wrote 1984.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know how he wrote 1984.
I haven't actually read that book, though.
You haven't?
No.
Jessica.
I haven't read
You're the type of person to love 1980. I feel like you will like the concept
What's
of
it about?
It's like, this is what you do in fact step in. I saw you smiling and ready. No, please go forth.
To this dystopian book. He wrote it in 1948. That's why he flipped it around. And it's a dystopian book about how he thinks the future is going to go. And it's basically about fascism and totalitarianism.
Right.
And all these big rulers just taking over the world and acting like they're God.
Right.
And their societies. And that's what Big Brother, that's
That is the point I wanted to touch on. The point is that within this book, whatever the leader said was the truth became the truth.
Right. Okay.
So 2 plus, this is the most basic example, which is 2 plus 2 equals 5.
Right.
Simply because the leader says so.
Right.
And everybody now believes that 2 plus 2 equals 5.
Right. And so you're saying there's a problem.
I hate it.
I get what you're saying. I think my view of postmodernism or subjectivity is different to yours, because I think the way you view subjectivity is through a lens that it's sort of used for dominance.
Yeah.
Or it's used to ideologically control people. And it's a bit...
Mind control.
It's a bit manipulative.
Dystopia.
Dystopia.
My view...
But yeah.
Is my view is manipulative or my view of how it works?
That's how you're... Yeah.
Okay.
And if I had that view towards subjectivity, I would agree with you.
Yeah, but
the
you
thing is
don't.
that I don't. Like, I definitely see how... But I think that's like anything. Like, objectivism can be used to control people. Just how it's used in different countries to say this is truth. And then now... So I think... Do you get what I'm trying to say? So either way, it could be... It's about the person that's using it.
Yeah.
I think subjectivity is a way that, like, technology can be... I think... Wait, let's start again.
And I know what you're going with this.
I think subjectivity is a way that we can, like, spread ideas. And I think the reason I love postmodernism is because it puts autonomy and freedom at the centre of it. And I feel like through those ideas, that's how we have things like democracy and things like that. If people were not free or had the opportunity to share their views, then would we really have the sort of, like, accumulation of policies today that we have that have a lot of, like, universal benefits?
Look, to quickly touch on one point I was trying to touch on before.
Yeah. We'll be back after the break.
In terms of terminology, linguistics, and everything that we were trying to touch on before, what is the difference between having nothingness and complete nothingness? Because before you said, there's a scale of subjectivity, this, that, and the first, but just expand just a little bit.
I actually think they're the same thing. If something's really nothing, you adding that qualifier of complete nothingness doesn't mean anything. It's superfluous.
Wow. I like that word.
It means unnecessary.
It's unnecessary to add
complete
nothingness.
Nothingness and complete nothingness are still the same thing.
It's a tautology in that case. But that contradicts the point that you were making before.
About what?
Which is that nothingness is on a scale and that there can't be complete nothingness. Which is why I asked you, what's the difference between the nothingness that you're talking about and the absolute complete nothingness?
I don't think actually contradicts my point, because I'm saying nothingness is on a scale, right? For something, if you're saying complete nothingness, that's something that you've offered to me. No, I don't think that's on the scale, because I'm saying there's no need to say complete nothingness, because nothingness already is the same thing as complete nothingness. So there wouldn't be any point in me saying complete nothingness, since there's already nothingness. Like, what I'm saying is, okay, cool, it's subjective, it's on a scale. But what I'm also saying is that the scale starts from what someone perceives as nothingness. That means the lack of something. And I think complete nothingness is still the lack of something. I don't think there's, what's it called? Like, I don't think there's a difference between the two. Because by already saying that there is nothing, I don't have to now go further and say complete nothing, because I've already covered that in saying nothing. I'm saying that there is no point in saying, for example, that's like me saying, oh, I have a triangle. I have a 180 degrees triangle. By me saying there's a triangle, there's already 180 degrees.
In the triangle.
So there's no point in me saying complete nothingness, because there already is nothingness. I don't need to go that extra mile.
You have an audience of applause there. You kind of ate. Wow. We're talking about two. If there's a spectrum, there has to be a zero, and that zero has to be complete nothingness, because in the middle is the rest of the different types of nothing.
Okay.
And then no nothingness on the other end.
But I already did say that I think the view of what it means for something to be nothing and for something to be something is in a sort of reflexive relationship, which means on my scale there is no zero. And I think that by you already assuming that there is a zero, it shows that you're coming with your sort of naturalistic, logical point of view, which is great. It's just not the point of view that I would approach it with.
How can there be a spectrum with no zero?
I
It
think,
has to start somewhere.
but that's if you're only looking at it in. It does have to start somewhere.
So it does
For
not
sure.
start from complete nothingness.
But even I've already number one, I've already disregarded. Is that a word?
Yeah.
I've already disregarded the concept of complete nothingness because
Why? How?
complete nothingness is the same as nothingness.
No, but no.
How can there be more nothing than nothing? There's already nothing. So you saying complete nothingness doesn't make sense because there's already nothing.
I understand.
And because if you were
I'm
to say
trying.
complete nothingness, that means there would have to be something before that complete nothingness.
Yeah, because according to you, okay, cool. Then there can't be a spectrum of nothingness
Why not?
if there can't be complete nothingness.
I'm saying that there is complete nothingness, but there's no point in saying that because there's already nothingness.
No, but we have to distinguish between complete nothingness and the rest of the nothingness in the spectrum.
I get what you're saying, but I think because my view of it is quite abstract and subjective, I think you're trying to use a naturalistic point of view to understand my subjective point of view. I feel like once
so
you
we're
take
incompatible.
I don't think it's that. I just think probably through more discourse and dialogue, you can probably get or we can just agree to disagree. I think that's the.
I don't like that. That's subjective. Okay.
I feel like this is coming from a point of like nothingness is in its own section. Like I thought of it as in colour, like there's black and there's white. You wouldn't say like grey or black, like it would just be grey. So you saying complete
I would.
nothingness, maybe that's you. But
No,
no,
but-
saying complete nothingness is what she's saying, that you're disregarding the point because nothingness is at the end.
I understand.
So how can there be like more of that?
A gradient.
nothingness?
You know the gradient of
Yeah.
black to white?
Yeah.
There's black and then slightly less black and then slightly less than the less black and then
But
slightly less than that.
Black then goes into the concept of grey.
But
It's not complete black.
But it's not complete grey either.
It's not, but it goes into the concept of grey. That's why there's variations of grey, but you can't say there's a variation of
Nothing.
black.
Yes, you can. They're different blacks.
Like,
The different blacks are different.
like,
There can be a light black,
But that's a shade.
and that's concept.
not
and there can be a shade of nothingness.
But what I'm saying, what my point is, okay, cool. Let's think of two words.
I want to understand.
Nothing.
I don't want to argue. I want to understand.
But the thing is, I feel like because I can accept that I can agree to disagree with someone. I think that's why I can easily like you said you don't like postmodernism. I'm not gonna try and convince you to like it. I can just accept that you have your own point of view and I have my own point of view. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So like,
but I want to understand
what I'm sa-
your point of view
cool.
completely.
Alright.
But I'm struggling to understand it. Because You're saying that nothingness is already nothing in itself and nothing can be less nothing than the nothing that we already have. So there's no point in saying that there's complete nothingness.
I'm saying linguistically, it doesn't make sense to
Grammatically,
say that
in terms of grammar,
yeah, like
it's a tautology. So it's unnecessary to say complete nothingness. Is that what you're saying?
but yes.
You don't just agree with
No,
me.
but if I'm honest, I actually forgot what tautology means.
Tautology is like saying the same thing twice in the same sentence.
Yeah,
Like me saying your red hair is red. I've said it twice. There's no need to say your red hair is red if I already acknowledge the fact that your hair is red.
right.
It's like the same as there's no need to identify
Let me not agree with you before I say something I don't mean. But what I'm saying is, look, nothingness,
Yes.
complete nothingness. The reason I don't think there is a difference, Eden, is because nothingness.
She said my name.
Because nothingness is already the lack of something. So, how can I have more of a lack of something? If I was to say, oh,
What
this,
if?
okay,
Do you know what I think it is?
Okay.
Let me tell you.
tell me, I want to know.
You see how there are words like fridge,
Okay,
but the full name is refrigerator.
okay.
What if the full name of nothingness is complete nothingness? Don't laugh at me.
No, I like it. It's abstract. I like it. I like it.
Do you like how I got there?
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you.
But I think the two are actually, is the word incomparable?
Incomparable.
Yeah, I don't think you can compare them just because we know by looking at the word fridge or the history of the word fridge that has already been shortened from refrigerator.
Some
It
people
doesn't-
don't know.
Okay, cool.
In the same
Okay,
way that you might not know that nothingness is complete nothingness.
but I think we can agree that it's a fact that the word fridge comes from refrigerator, right?
Yes.
But it's not a fact that complete nothingness is the foundation of nothingness. That's just an opinion that you've created. And you do say you don't like subjectivity, but we can't
Which
compare.
is why I'm trying to find the objective truth here.
But I don't think there is one.
Objective truth isn't a thing. Like everything.
Objective truth is also tautology.
No, but I'm saying like everything can be seen through
A subjective lens.
Like literally everything. Like,
Michael, sit here, like, oh.
that's a social scientist perspective. Like what do we call it? In order to make generalizations, that's a scientific perspective. But social scientists would say everything can be seen
An
through
interpretive
subjectivity.
point of view.
Yeah, interpretivist. That's
I understand.
But Eden already.
You're
Eden,
positivist.
I understand.
Yeah. Eden is a naturalist.
The subtitles
right?
on this is going to be
So
crazy.
she fits. No, but this is like philosophy. So we.
Oh, fair. I don't know the philosophy in it, so.
That's the thing.
But my thing is, Eden, you can be a naturalist, but still accept that other people are subjective. Like
I do accept it, but I want to understand it.
But you said that you're trying to understand an objective truth, which means you're already putting your views onto mine. Do you get what I'm trying to say here? Like you said that you're trying to find the objective truth within my argument, but I don't think my argument has an objective truth. It's just my subjective view. So that's why there's tension. Do you get it?
Oh, I just need to understand what you say and then just go.
Yeah, like I'm not saying, because I feel like, yeah, like literally, because
Okay.
Okay.
You made me sick. Okay, cool. I'm gonna move on to the next element.
That was fun though. Yes, Michael. I just really like the support that I have there.
No, because all of you lot, I'm assuming, are subjective in your views.
No.
You can't. Objectivity is like no, like that's only for like.
How can you say it's no?
Scientists and stuff. We're not talking in real science. We're talking in
real life,
social
objectivity
kind
does
of
not
level,
exist.
Flowery stuff.
Yeah, like
I feel really...
A bit stimulated?
I'm not autistic.
But you know that word can be and that's what we're talking about linguistics. Kidding.
Okay.
Just want more airtime, love clout.
Early Greek philosophers since the 5th century have been arguing about the impossibility of nothing's existence. So they say that it's impossible for nothing to exist. So as we've been arguing within the existence of nothing, we now need to bring our minds out and understand why they will say it's impossible for nothing to exist. And I think it's true. I think nothingness can't exist, but some people will argue that it's just a problem of semantics in terms of like words and what we think it means. Because what if our understanding of nothing is flawed? But at the same time, I feel like because we have the concept of nothing, like we can both encapsulate the notion of what nothing is.
Yeah.
It has to exist somewhere, somehow.
So you're saying just because we can
Think
conceive
it.
of
Can. Absolutely. Yes. Because we
Yes.
can conceive of a...
it must exist.
Yes. That's my argument for the existence of God, but that's a conversation for another day.
I think that's a flawed point of view. To
It's
say
flawed.
That.
This is a conversation for another day. Just
No. I'm not talking about your.
because I want to talk about it. What you're saying, I do want to unpack it. But
No, I'm not talking about your ontological point of view. I'm
I
talking
know,
about.
but the idea that conceiving of something. Oh no, we have to talk about it because it kind of. Sorry.
Right.
Continue.
I'm not saying that that's not a cool argument. I'm just saying that I don't think that's the strongest way to say something exists.
Mm-hmm.
Just to say because I can think of it. I can think of my mum having blue hair. Doesn't mean my mum has blue hair.
Yes, I understand, but that's just a really niche way of thinking about it. The way I think about it is that these concepts do exist independently somewhere, somehow. So that means the possibility of your mum having blue hair is possible because you can conceive of the color blue,
No,
and
what
you
my
can
mum has like alopecia.
You can conceive of her having hair. You can conceive of her having hair because you know what the concept of hair is. You have hair on your head now.
Yes, I can. Just because I can think, I have a creative imagination. What does
Yeah.
that have to do with real existence?
It just because I believe that the ideas that you have don't come from nowhere. They have to come from somewhere because you can't think of something that you've never seen before.
I think you can. I've dreamt of someone I've never seen before.
It's impossible scientifically.
Impossible.
You can't
Oh,
create
maybe
a
I have to-
face.
I think I can.
No, it means that your mind saw them, but you don't remember seeing them.
Yeah.
But then that's just subjective.
Oh, really?
Back to the ancient philosophers. Let's unpack why they would think that nothingness is impossible to exist. Because let's go back to the paradox again,
Right.
which is that if nothing does exist, it has to be something, which concludes that nothingness cannot exist. And if nothingness is nothing, then it can't be nothing, which concludes that nothingness can't exist. So how do we escape that, if at all?
So remind me of the philosopher's question again.
What question?
I mean his assertion.
There wasn't a specific philosopher, it's just the philosophers of like the
Okay, what did they say that
5th century BC.
What did they say?
They said that it's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impossible for nothingness to exist.
I actually don't know.
I like your answer. It's good to be honest. And it's good to accept defeat from philosophical questions. I said that in a really horrible way, but I didn't mean it like that. I meant it like, you know.
Except you're a loser. No, I don't think it's defeat. I just think I would need more of a framework to approach the question.
Okay, like how?
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk more? I expanded on the paradox though. You want me to say it again?
Yeah, slower please.
Okay, we can break it down. We can do the first half, which is if nothingness exists, it has to be something. Therefore, nothingness doesn't exist.
Okay, so that's really interesting because the concept of nothing, I think that was... Okay, cool. The concept of nothing is a word.
Yes. But we can conceive of its concept in our head.
Now, one, I think it's an assumption to say that everyone in the world can conceive of nothing. I don't think everyone has that. I think it's an assumption, kind of ignorant actually, to assume that everyone has that mental capacity to do that. So the fact that if 50 people in the world can conceive of something and 50 people can't,
yes.
does that now that whole ontological argument of existence sort of coming after conception, I think it's a slippery slope. It's not, because if some people can conceive it and some people can't, now your argument falls apart because it's all about
Conception.
but that's not even like what I'm going to even critique it on. The concept of nothing was created by a human so that we could put a word on the lack of something. I don't think it's an objective truth. But then again, coming from my point of view again, subjectivist. But no, like honestly, I think that in another scenario, in another world, we would always have the concept of nothing, and I think the concept of nothing, well, it has to be something because we are defining that. But I don't think nothing is something.
Wow.
On a second layer, just because the definition of nothing is the lack of something.
But the fact that it is the lack of something, doesn't that already make it something?
But the something that is the lack of something. Like,
But
I get
the
what you're
fact-
saying, but
yeah.
I think that's the first layer to see it.
Yeah.
So, for example,
So
yeah.
I think that's a problem of semantics.
Okay.
It's just words. It's grammatical. Because the problem is that we can see words saying what nothing is, which makes us believe that it's now something.
Yeah, but it's not. It's just that's just like a placeholder.
Yeah.
So that we
For nothing.
for nothing.
Yeah.
But the actual substance of the
of
word
nothing
nothing is
is
the lack
nothing.
of something. So
But I feel like by defining it as the lack of nothing,
the lack of something.
the lack of something
Yeah.
is problematic
Okay.
in itself. But then again,
What should we define it as?
that's what I was going to say. Any definition
How
of
is it
nothing
problematic?
will be problematic because it suggests that there is something for it to be. So, but then that's the same with any type of definition of nothing.
So you're saying that by me saying that X is
Yes.
the lack of something, you're saying that within that there are assumptions of something.
Yes.
I don't think there are assumptions of something. I think it acknowledges that there is something and there's the lack of something.
There
I think
is
it's
something that it is
not.
not.
I think it's rather the acknowledgement rather than the assumption.
Okay. I like that. Second half. So the part that we just unpacked is if nothing is something, no. If nothing is nothing.
Then it's something.
No, that's not what it was.
Oh, this one's a tongue twister.
Yeah, we said if nothing can't be. If nothing is nothing, then it has to be something.
Yeah.
So the other half that we're about to do is that if nothing is something, it can't be nothing.
If nothing is something,
It cannot be nothing.
if nothing is something, then it cannot be nothing. Wait, I need to. If nothing.
Yeah, it's much. Wait, hold on, pause.
Next time, Eden, write the stuff on a whiteboard, please. I can't imagine this phrase right now. Thanks. As soon as I say it, I forget it. Great. Which one? Something is nothing. It cannot be nothing. Nothing is something. It cannot be nothing.
If nothing is something, it cannot be nothing.
Right, but we've already said that nothing isn't something.
That's another question. So are the two parts of the paradox just the same? And if you break down one, does that mean you've broken down the other?
Okay. It's gonna be really annoying, but what's the first part of the paradox?
So ultimately, both of them conclude that nothing is something. But are they the same argument?
Yeah, I do think they are saying the same thing because they arrive at the same
Conclusion.
conclusion.
But in different ways.
Yeah.
So are they saying the same thing?
Yeah, I think they are. I think essentially what they're saying is that regardless of whether you look at nothing in itself as something or whether you maintain that sort of standard definition that nothing truly is nothing, either way you will arrive at something.
Yes.
So like either way.
So is the conclusion true? Or do you think that the argument, the paradox itself is flawed because you don't agree that nothing is something? Or are we just saying words now?
I think if I was to say something is flawed, that would be me saying that there's a logical error. I don't think there's a logical error. I just think that it takes a trajectory that I wouldn't. So even though this is philosophy is all about wisdom and things like that. I don't rely on like logic I don't rely on a priori logic a priori logic leads to a sound argument. I think this is a sound paradox. It makes sense either way. But just because it's sound, it doesn't mean it's valid for me. So I don't think it's valid, but I do think it's cool as sound. But I wouldn't take this approach again. I wouldn't take this approach in order to sort of unpack what nothing is. But I do think it is a great way to start a discussion, for sure.
Okay, cool. I'm going to leave that there because it was much.
Okay.
Is nothing the opposite of something? Because I feel like throughout this whole thing, no, good answer. I feel like throughout the whole thing, I've been assuming that if nothing is nothing, it must be something.
And
but
again, that's that binary.
That might not be the case.
That's that binary thinking that I steer away from because it leads to sort of, what's the word? Closed-ended answers. I don't know. It just leads to very conclusive.
Naturalism.
No, just in terms of.
No, the opposite of open-ended answers.
Yeah, like I don't think that's a thing. It's like is nothing something? It's already a sort of a closed question. Yeah,
because it's either yes or no, and you don't think the question should be closed.
Or I just don't think it. Sorry, let me not do that.
No, it's fine.
But yeah, I think it's not inviting you to think beyond the scope of yes and no. But I don't think that I have to be like prohibited, and I don't think I have to say yes or no. I don't think nothing is the opposite of something, because I think they're in a reflexive relationship with each other. I don't think they can be opposites and still maintain that relationship with each other.
Okay, so if there is no nothing, that doesn't necessitate that there should be something. I can repeat what I just said, because even I forgot.
But if there is no nothing, that means there is something.
That's the whole debate that we've been having there.
Now,
That's why I'm saying, are they not opposite?
right. I would say that just because there's not nothing,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't. Wait, one second. You have to edit this bit out. I look dumb. You said, so if there is
I'll
not
be lying
nothing.
if I told you I can remember it.
You said if there is not nothing, then that doesn't mean there's something.
If there is not nothing, does that necessitate that there has to be something?
I think conventional knowledge would say yes, but I don't actually think so.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that could be in that space, but I'm just saying that, and my trajectory is not necessarily, I'm not looking for truth here. I'm just looking for a way to approach the discourse of something and nothingness.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why I think some could probably find my argument a bit vague and a bit flawed like that. But I think you would miss the purpose of what I'm saying, like why I'm saying it rather than what I'm saying. So I'm basically saying that no, I don't think that the fact that there is not nothing would necessarily automatically mean that there is something, because I think that there must be some more space for more, whatever that could be. It's like Plato is like my favorite philosopher, or one of my favorite philosophers.
I prefer Descartes.
Descartes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I really like Plato because he thought outside the box in a very creative way with his the forms and the world of the forms in a time, and still today, when everyone sort of mocks him and thinks like, what's he talking about? But the main thing that I take from Plato is, one, his confidence, and two, his imagination. So I feel like that steers my view, and that's why I think it has a lot of tension with
Philosophy in general.
not philosophy in general. I wouldn't say that. I would say with conventional logic.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, I like that. Is zero nothing?
I'm actually not good with maths.
Just what?
No, genuinely.
Okay, cool. Because I don't want a mathematical equation or any calculations. I'm just saying that in order to conceptualize the concept of nothing into something that's more tangible, would you say that nothing is the number zero? Would you say zero is nothing?
The only reason why someone would say that is because that's what they've been taught.
Okay.
That in maths, when you want to get to, when like 1 minus 1, it cancels each other out, is 0. It's nothing. But it's because I've been taught that. But if I'm honest, I don't really feel qualified to answer that question.
Yeah.
Just because I would only be going based off like literally just what I've been taught in school, and I don't think I would be thinking independently.
Okay.
Zero is the quantity, nothing, but it isn't nothing. It's still a number, but it's just the quantity of nothing, but it's still something.
What does the quantity of nothing mean?
As in, like,
It's the way we like.
If you put 0 plus 0, you don't add anything, you don't take anything away. There's no transaction takes place, but 0 is a number, so it's still something.
How can you quantify nothing with something?
That doesn't make sense.
That's
It's
why I'm
the same way.
confused.
No, I think like numerically, 0 is equivalent to the idea of nothing. Nothing is the qualifier, 0 is the quantifier. Do you know what I mean?
Nothing is the quantifier and 0 is the quantifier.
It's the same thing, just in numerical form.
So
Yeah.
0 has
But that's
no
you've now
quantity.
given value to 0.
Not
That's
value. I
what
think
it
you translated the word nothing to a number.
No, its
Yeah.
value is nothing.
0.
Its value is 0.
But it's
That doesn't agree with what Michael said.
It does. 'Cause 0
Not
is a
really,
number.
because you said that 0 is still something because it's a number, but but Elizabeth is saying that the number 0 is the same as the quantifier. The number 0 is the same as the qualifier of nothingness being 0, but that means they both have to be the same. One can't be something and the other can't be nothing.
I don't think you understood what Michael said, because what they're both saying is the word nothing, like linguistically, has now been translated to a numerical. Hey,
Yeah.
a number.
No,
They're talking
yeah.
about number, but
I understand.
but they're both acknowledging that because it's a number, it is something.
Which is
But they're not saying it's something. They're not saying it's something. They're saying that the number, you put it in the category of number, that
Okay.
means it's something.
okay.
But,
I guess that makes
yeah.
sense, but I still find a conflict.
I think you're looking for a black and white answer here, and it's a.
I'm
and it's-
always looking for a black and white answer, Jess.
But how can you do that in philosophy when the answers go on and on?
Because I just feel like some answers are wrong and some answers are right. But people just bring their own answers. But we're just never going to know which one's right and which one's wrong. Yeah, thank you for taking me in. The final thing is Descartes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my guess is Descartes argued against the existence of an empty space
Okay.
until science found vacuums.
Right.
What do you think about that? I just wanted to throw that out into
Okay.
the air.
Say that again, please.
Descartes argued against the existence
Yeah.
of an empty space until science physics discovered vacuums.
Right. That's cool.
There's no question. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Well, I guess. Wait, let me actually think about that. I guess that shows the flaw in a priori argument because science can always disprove it in the future.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why looking for that sort of, or being on the hunt for that sort of black and white yes or no answer, it's unproductive, if I'm honest, because it leads to now Descartes argued so strongly that emptiness didn't exist.
Mhm.
And then that would probably stop the debate right there.
Yeah.
And then until science came along and someone said, I'm not content with that answer.
Mhm.
And I think that's that confidence and imagination that I really like. And I think, again, that's what drives progress. And
Yeah.
it clearly did.
I hear that, but I guess what I wanted to hear was like your thoughts on what a vacuum is. Is a vacuum?
Oh, you really didn't take the conversation that way.
I'm sorry,
Right.
Because I wanted to leave it open at the same
What
time.
a vacuum is.
Yeah, because like I was just wondering, is a vacuum enough to disprove Descartes' claim that nothingness?
Doesn't exist.
Yeah, or his
What's a vacuum?
claim against a vacuum is an empty space in space that has no particles, no nothing in it.
Right.
Do you want to fix my definition?
It's not to fix your definition, but it's not. No, actually, no. So,
Yeah, thank you.
no, but technically, it's
Because
not.
I've done my research.
Definition, and she was quite accurate.
Thank you, I've done my research. But yeah, I want to end, but there is another point on it. So I'm just going to ask it out there. And, if you have anything to say, you can say it. But is it, you laughed?
It's just like, you can come if you want vibes. Like, if you can... you can talk about it if you want. Like,
Because time is of the essence.
fairs.
Is it possible for something to come from nothing?
For sure. Because
Okay.
they're in a reflective relationship with each other. So it's a very fluid relationship. And I would
Yin
never
and
put...
yang. Yin and yang. Sorry, I learned it in Chinese philosophy. Please continue.
Wow. Yeah. For sure. Like, a baby can come from...
That's not nothing.
You didn't hear what I said.
Too fast.
Facts. What did you probably assumed I was gonna say conception, right?
No, I didn't.
A fetus, right?
That was not the assumption.
No, we didn't.
I was never good at science either. But yeah, no. I think that's what philosophy is. It's us taking seemingly nothing and actually finding there is something within that. And whether it's
Jessica,
abstract,
I like that.
thank you. And whether it's abstract or material, I do think that something can come from nothing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this episode of The Things You Can't Touch, where I discussed nothingness, if it was anything at all, with our good sis Jessica. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate the time that you took.
No problem.
Thank you for taking the journey. And thank you for your answers and your responses. They were quite intellectual. Not quite. They were very intellectual, in
Thank you.
fact, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, once again, I'm going to reiterate the point for you to go and follow all of her social media platforms. Go and buy her book now because the poetry is quite exquisite. You need to go and take a look at that. And ultimately, yeah, I hope I see you in the next episode. Thank you. Bye.
No, you end the phone. No, you end the phone. One of you end the phone.
No, I just.
I cannot believe my eyes. But what is a disease to you is actually health to me.
Cannot believe my eyes.
And we recognize that the working class people in this society do have a voice.
To quickly touch upon the... I'm going to...